Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Wednesday night's calendar.
Here are tonight's main stories.
With heavy snow forecast, farmers across our region prepared to protect their livestock.
Plenty of farmers who will be starting lambing imminently, potentially starting lambing into the snow and into those freezing conditions with no luxury of indoor space. Some of the lambs may not be able to weather the cold.
The shocking moment caught on camera after reports of a machete fight in Leeds.
We know that serious violent crime is an issue for all metropolitan areas, and that is why we established the Violence Reduction Unit here in 2020.
Campaign for Independence. An 8-year-old with cerebral palsy pleads for help to buy a chairlift for her home.
And we have a yellow weather warning in place tonight and through tomorrow across many parts of the region, but now an amber weather warning to be prepared to western parts, and I'll have a bit more information on that and your weather story for the rest of the week a little later on.
First tonight, as temperatures continue to plummet, the region is braced tomorrow for what's likely to be the most disruptive spell of snow since last year. Within the last few hours, the Met Office has issued a severe amber weather warning for Yorkshire.
Some parts of our region could see up to 10 inches of snow, making driving conditions potentially treacherous. Gritters will be working around the clock to keep the roads clear.
Well, let's take a look at how some of those who could feel the brunt of those conditions are getting ready with our reporter Fraser Maud, who's out in the cold in Wakefield this evening. Fraser, how are they preparing?
Yeah, good evening, Lisa. Yeah, the coldest night of the year so far last night, down to below -15 up in Scotland. Snow has caused problems in the north in Scotland, down in the south of England as well, causing travel disruption. As you can see, the M1 here in our region still moving pretty freely at the moment, but don't think we've dodged the snowy bullet, because as the boundary between the warm Atlantic air and the cold Arctic air moves further north, we're going to be in for it tomorrow. Some parts of the region facing potentially up to 10 inches of snow tonight. It's meant many people have been taking precautions, not least our region's farmers.
Rebecca Wilson, like most farmers, is at the mercy of the weather. So when heavy snow is forecast, preparations have to be made. For Rebecca, that means making sure there's enough food and fresh bedding for a 120-strong flock of sheep. At the moment, she's still using the farm's own supply of sugar beet as a supplementary feed. But if that runs out and the cold weather continues, she and lots of other farmers will be forced to buy in from elsewhere, creating a demand that will push up the price. But for now, at least, things could be worse. What are your main concerns when we get cold weather like this?
Well, for livestock, we're lucky in the sense that we have plenty of shed space to bring our ewes and lambs in, and we finished lambing. There's plenty of farmers who will be starting lambing imminently, potentially starting lambing into the snow and into those freezing conditions with no luxury of indoor space. That's really, really worrying for them. Some of the lambs may not be able to weather the cold.
For many hill farmers, like the Yorkshire shepherdess Amanda Owen, lambing hasn't started, and there simply isn't the option to bring the livestock indoors.
But you see, at the moment, they're a month off lambing, so they're quite heavy with lamb. So you don't want any stress putting on their system. So at the moment, we're going to all the sheep twice a day with hay to make sure that they've got plenty to eat.
As preparations are made in the fields, the same is being done for the roads. An amber warning for snow means we can expect to see road closures, travel delays and stranded vehicles.
National Highways encourages drivers to always check their vehicles before setting out, but it's particularly important during severe weather that their tyres are in good order. We always have issues with people whose screen wash has frozen, so it's really important that you've got screen wash, that your wipers are in good order. The weather is looking like it's going to be particularly severe, so people need to carry out those checks before setting out on their journeys if they are necessary.
The message for everyone who may be affected by the weather is, as always, to prepare for the worst but hope for the best, like Amanda does.
Wind and snow is a bad combination, and it sounds like tomorrow is going to be a horror of a day. So let's hope the forecasters are wrong, right?
Yeah, Amanda should know Kerry Gosney never gets the weather wrong, but of course that's what people are hoping. An amber warning means that there is an increased likelihood of impacts from severe weather, which could potentially disrupt our plans. That means there's a possibility of road and rail closures, airport delays and so on, power cuts, potential risk to life as well, and many rural areas may face being cut off altogether. Now, the job is of the Highways Agency and the local councils to try and keep the roads open, keep traffic moving as freely as possible, keep people connected. So earlier on we spoke to Peter Hancock, who's the operations manager with Amy in Sheffield, and this is what he told us.
The high profile routes, they get gritted first. The secondary routes, they follow immediately on. When you get into the housing estates and the like, that's the idea for the grit bins, so that the actual local residents can grit those areas for themselves. If we started trying to get gritters down these roads, they tend to be too tight, they tend to be too small. We wouldn't actually be able to manoeuvre. So this is why we have this tiered approach with the grit bins, so people can actually help themselves. And obviously, like I say, if those grit bins end up empty, just let us know. We'll come out there, we'll refill them.
So the advice is always in cold weather, don't travel unless you absolutely have to. Stay warm and stay safe.
OK, Fraser Moore live in a very chilly looking Wakefield, thank you.
Well, no pressure then, Kerry. I think there is confidence in the forecast, isn't there, that we can expect some pretty treacherous weather.
Yeah, and when you see the forecast for the amount of snow, especially with the drifting, it really is a worrying thing. So Fraser was right to point out all those things that we have to look out for over the next 24 hours or so. If I can show you the map, I've zoomed out a little bit so you can see the bigger picture, but this is the 24-hour forecast of rain, sleet and snow. It's likely to change maybe a little bit, but just look to the southwest by tomorrow morning and throughout the day, that area of rain turning to snow, pushing north and eastwards, especially over the Pennine Spine, but not exclusively. We are expecting it to move a little bit further eastwards down the eastern slopes of the Pennines and stay that way, and everywhere else could see a few centimetres of snow on and off during the course of the day. And it doesn't, of course, as you know, take very much to stop traffic and cause chaos. So we do have some warnings in place. So I'll show you the first warning, which is the yellow warning, which is across all parts of the region. We could widely see up to 5 centimetres. It might turn to rain, sleet and then wet snow for a time before redeveloping, but maybe in excess of 10 centimetres over higher ground above the 100. But if you look to the right, it's the amber weather warning. That kicks off at 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, and it's the rush hour home that we could see blizzard-like drifting conditions over high ground, and maybe, I can't even believe I'm saying it, 30 to 40 centimetres over the hills. And if that happens, you know, that's not good news.
So as Fraser said, be prepared is basically the best thing you can do.
Absolutely, yeah, be prepared. If you have to drive, oh my goodness, take precautions and take extra time, because it is going to take you longer to get to your destination if you have to go there in the first place. I've got just a little zoom just to leave you with. That's the amber warning. And you can see that quite often we get Hawes, Skipton, Bradford in that amber warning in this kind of scenario, but we've got Leeds there, Barnsley, Sheffield, Chesterfield, Harrogate, which, you know, in this situation doesn't always get the snow cover. And, you know, that's not a fine line. I think it's likely to change probably over the next 24 hours. So stay tuned to the forecast for sure.
We will do, Kerry. We'll see you again at the end of the programme.
Of course, yeah.
Next, to the shocking scenes caught on camera which appear to show men in balaclavas slashing at each other with machetes outside a popular takeaway in Leeds. This next report includes images of that violence.
It happened on a city street yesterday afternoon, just as rush hour commuters were making their way home. Armed police were drafted into Hare Hills, but so far the suspects remain at large. John Hill reports.
Extraordinary scenes at rush hour on a main route out of Leeds. This is Roundhay Road just before 5:30 yesterday afternoon. Police were called to reports of a disturbance between several men in Hare Hills involving machetes. 2 of them appear to be armed and are seen swinging at each other outside a takeaway. At one point, drivers are forced to stop as the alleged violence spills into the road. Then, in other footage, seemingly filmed from a passing bus close by, a group is seen running away. Armed police were called out, although none of the suspects was found. Officers sealed off the area as they began their investigation.
We're arresting people all the time for carrying knives and for using knives. And that's at the end of the process. We need other partners like schools, like parents, like youth groups, churches, mosques, temples to work in partnership with us to really instill in young people the harms that carrying knives can bring to them and to their lives and their communities. We also need to educate parents to the risks of exploitation by organised crime groups, and we need to create better conversations in our communities about the prevalence of knife crime and how to keep ourselves safe and how to work together to protect our young people from exploitation.
It comes just days after police were given extra stop and search powers when a man was stabbed to death nearby. 29-year-old Peter Wass died in hospital after being attacked in Chapeltown last Tuesday, the 2nd of March. This latest attack now the subject of an ongoing police investigation. Officers are asking for anyone with information to get in touch. John Hill, ITV News.
You're watching Calendar, and still to come on the programme this evening, Betsy's bid for independence. We meet one determined young lady whose fundraising campaign is in need of a lift.
And Best in Show meet Elizabeth and her dog from Northallerton, hoping to wow the crowds at Crufts. British Steel has confirmed that a new contract to supply rail sleepers to West Africa will not impact on plans to cut the number of jobs in Scunthorpe. The manufacturer says it's the largest ever order for steel sleepers, and 20,000 tonnes of them will be sent to Guinea over the next year. 2 weeks ago, British Steel confirmed plans to cut 260 jobs at the steelworks because of global economic challenges.
Next, it is International Women's Day, and today a delegation from our region joined a demonstration outside the Houses of Parliament. They joined hundreds of women who were born in the 50s who say their retirement plans were wrecked when the government abruptly increased their state pension age.
Well, they say it's left many women suffering financially and emotionally, and they want compensation. Our political correspondent Katie Oscroft is live for us in Westminster this evening. And Katie, what was the strength of feeling among those taking part today?
Well, Michael, there was a lot of anger amongst the hundreds of women who were outside this building this morning. They came from around the country, from right across our region. Most were wearing something purple, the colour associated with the women's rights movement, and they were defiant in the driving rain. Their point, well, they said they're fine with equality, they're fine with men and women retiring at the same age, but these changes, they say, were imposed on them suddenly, and the working world is very different when they were younger.
We didn't have equal rights when we were in the 50s, bringing kids up. We couldn't go out to work and then get ourselves a private pension.
We are not against equality. What we are against, the way the government put this into practice, put it in place with no notice. And like these ladies have said, when we were young working women, we had all the caring responsibilities.
I'm having to work 6 more years. And this is my 4th year. I'm on my knees.
Well, the government has responded by saying this. It was decided over 25 years ago to make the state pension aim the same for men and women. Both the High Court and the Court of Appeal have supported the actions of the Department for Work and Pensions, and the Supreme Court refused permission to appeal. Well, these words will not satisfy the people who protested here today. Now, there is an investigation into whether or not they should receive compensation, but that's ongoing, and the women say all this time they are suffering financial and emotional hardship. OK,
Katie Oscroft live for us this evening in Westminster. Thank you. Well, let's stay with International Women's Day today, because we've been to meet one group of girls from Bradford who are determined to break down the cultural barriers which they say are holding back girls in their local area.
Yes, the group from Carlton Bolling School sought the help of a charity called Next Gen Leaders, and they quickly discovered that a huge 94% of young women in their area thought they had fewer opportunities than men. Helen Steele reports.
Good afternoon, Year 7.
A lesson led not by teachers.
So I'm going to just pass over to the girls now.
And it's not part of the curriculum.
We feel that some girls are lacking independence and confidence.
It's a life lesson led by a group of girls from Carlton Bolling School in Bradford who saw that in their area there's still gender inequality.
We conducted some surveys and we've seen that about 80% see that males have more rights in the community, which is outrageous. We found out that they're not really allowed to go outside, not even to play or anything, and that was really quite shocking because we would expect that in normal everyday life.
They've gained the backing of charity Next Gen leaders and their local councillor, who says cultural beliefs in her area are holding some girls back.
Religion teaches gender equality. There's no issues around religion. You know, religion is all about making sure that everybody has the opportunities they so deserve. But it sometimes becomes a little bit blurred in terms of culture. And what we're trying to do as part of this project is work within those boundaries and making sure that the girls have the opportunities they so deserve and they do want.
But the boundary should never include gender inequality.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
The girls have also started visiting primary schools and launching Girl Guide style after-school clubs. Janat Khan attends one of those local schools.
Do you see that girls aren't as equal as boys sometimes, or what have you seen?
The boys can play football and the girls can play football.
Why is that, do you think?
Because...
There's no real reason, is there?
Next Gen Leaders hopes to take this scheme beyond the corridors here and out across Bradford.
So the group so far have just blown me away. They've gone away, researched the gender equality, and they've looked at all the different sub-targets, and they're really creating a project that will have that impact within the community.
We don't have to keep fighting for them. They can learn how to be confident, how to stand up for themselves.
It's already had an impact on some young minds.
What do you want to do when you're older?
What do you want to be? Teacher.
There you go.
Oh, and have these girls inspired you?
Yes.
Helen Steele, ITV News in Bradford.
Definitely some inspiring leaders of the future.
Certainly,
there,
clearly making an impression, aren't they?
Absolutely. Well, now the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30 with more on those weather warnings. Here's Lucrezia Minerini.
Coming up, an Arctic blast sweeps across the UK, closing schools and cancelling flights. An amber weather warning is in force for yet more heavy snow tonight, with the cold snap set to continue this week. Also ahead, Gary Lineker says he won't stop speaking out after calls he should quit the BBC for slamming the government's illegal immigration plans. The celebrity weight loss jab to be made available on the NHS, and the unlikely friendship between a farmer and a crane. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Lucrezia, we certainly will. Now, time for some sports, and Sheffield United boosted their hopes of automatic promotion to the Premier League with a 1-0 win at Reading last night.
Meanwhile, Huddersfield Town missed out on the chance to close the gap on those above them in the race to stay in the Championship after they could only draw at home to Bristol City. With the best of the action, here's Chris Dawkes.
After 3 defeats from their previous 4 league matches, Sheffield United were nervously glancing over their shoulder at the chasing pack. A scoreless first half at Reading didn't ease any tension, but when the Blades need some inspiration, more often than not this season they found it in Iliman and Dye. The Senegal international's 12th goal of the season, extending United's lead over Middlesbrough in third to 7 points.
Yeah, big win, tough place. We know how good Reading's home form's been all season, and now we're in a position where everyone knows where they stand. It's 7 points and 11 games left. Everyone's, on equal footing now.
If Huddersfield are to avoid being relegated down to League One, you suspect their home form will be key, but they'll need to start taking chances like the one that fell to Josh Koroma last night. Neil Warnock declared himself happy with the performance of his team, but with just 11 games left and the Terriers 6 points from safety, it's more than just good performances he needs. In the battle to win promotion to the Championship, Barnsley are looking great bets for a playoff spot. Unbeaten in 9, and this strike from Nicky Cadden symptomatic of the confidence flowing through the team. Portsmouth did pull a goal back, but Devante Cole sealed the win with his 11th goal of the season.
We know we're a good team and we've got good players in there, and if you keep doing what we're doing, then we'll win most games. And yeah, we just need to keep the run going and then see where it takes us.
Bradford could have gone third in League Two with a win at Walsall last night, but it's testament to the progress made by the Bantams in recent weeks that the draw felt like 2 points dropped rather than 1 gained. And it was another disappointing night for Doncaster, who are now winless in 4. Donny conceding twice in the final 10 minutes to lose this Yorkshire derby at home to Harrogate in what manager Danny Schofield described as the worst performance since he took charge. Chris Dawkes, ITV News.
Well, now a special appeal has been made by an 8-year-old from Barnsley to help her reach a fundraising goal that could change her life. Betsy Johnson has cerebral palsy, which means she can't walk.
But Betsy is fiercely independent and wants to raise enough money so her family can have a lift installed at their home. They've already raised £15,000 but now face a race against time to reach the $20,000 they need. Martin Fisher has been to meet her.
Betsy knows what she wants and is determined to get it. Currently, if she wants to use the toilet, it's her mum Beth who has to take her upstairs. But Betsy wants to do it herself.
She wants to do everything on her own. Sometimes she'll spend 25 minutes trying to put on a t-shirt because she wants to do it on her own. Even though I'll help you, and she's like, no, I'm doing it. And she's that determined to do it. But one of the major things that she wants to do is go up to her own bedroom on her own with her friends without me having to carry her. It's that dignity, that independence that everybody else gets that you take for granted, and she wants it.
A complicated birth meant Betsy was starved of oxygen. She was diagnosed with cerebral palsy and her parents told she would never walk. The lift is part of changes to the family home to give her more independence as she grows older.
You're very, very, very excited. Yeah. Where will you go at first time you get that lift?
I'll go up there and dance.
And dance?
A GoFundMe campaign has already raised 3/4 of the money, but a family need to raise the rest and start the work before their planning permission runs out in just a few months' time.
I've had an ex-student from when I first started teaching who was donated, and I mean, it's amazing. Loads of people from Barnsley. I think it is a Barnsley thing, isn't it? If there's somebody in town that needs some help, they help.
Although Betsy can't walk, she gets around in her own way. Stairs, though, are too big a challenge.
And I want to do that all by myself.
Betsy's overcome many challenges in her young life already. Now she just needs a little help to get her to the next level. Martin Fisher, ITV News in Barnsley.
Oh, brilliant, Betsy. We really do wish her all the best.
Certainly do. Now, it's almost Canine Christmas Eve, because tomorrow is the biggest day in the doggy diary. Crufts, of course.
Ah, of course. And it means it could be a sleepless night for one woman from Northallerton and her dog who spent months preparing in the hope of winning one of those coveted rosettes. Here's Amrit Birdie.
Elizabeth and her dog are inseparable, and together they make somewhat of a dream team, carrying on the family tradition of showing at Crufts. And they've been preparing tirelessly at home in Northallerton in North Yorkshire.
It's quite important. I train quite hard for it. I do look forward to it, especially when I've got like a youngster to show. So I started training at Crufts when I was 11. I've been training since I was 4 years old though. It's always been a thing. Grandma did it, grandma's mum did it, my mum did it, and my little sister's going to be competing there as well. She's only 7, so it's a big family affair.
I could only be at Crufts, the world's biggest dog show, where over the next few days tens of thousands of dogs and their owners will be here to compete in events such as agility and best in show. And this year there's a new breed on the block hoping to impress. This year, for the first time ever, the Bavarian Mountain Hound has been added to the breed register and can compete in its own right.
They are a very special breed, very quirky hound. We're very excited for them to have their first breed classes of Crufts. It's been quite a long time, a lot of work.
Crufts is one of the few events in the world where you can see canines of all different breeds, sizes, personalities and furs in one place. And seasoned dogs and their owners plan their entire year around the competition.
Everybody comes to Crufts, so we see everybody that we know. And it's the fact that everybody's got the same mindset because they all really love dogs. They all want to see everybody's dogs do well. So, I mean, especially in the sport of hill ex music and freestyle, everybody backs each other.
Although there is lots of fun and tail wagging going on, organisers are hopeful that this year's event educates as well as entertains.
Crufts is known as a dog show, and that's what it's famous for, but it is really an educational event. The message about people buying dogs is that they should really do their research when they're buying a puppy, and this is the ideal place to come and see all the different breeds of dogs, 222 different breeds you can see. So it's the opportunity for people to come along, talk to breed experts and find out what dog fits into their lifestyle.
With 24,000 attendees expected this year, it's hoped that Crufts 2023 will be a memorable event for all of those that come along, whether that be on 4 legs or 2.
That was Amrit Birdie ending that report there. I don't think that corgi's going to win any agility.
Certainly is not. Too long legs. That's the problem. Right, it's Kerry with the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. So not the best of weather scenarios as we head through into tonight and especially tomorrow through into the early part of Friday, where there is an amber weather warning now for western parts of our region, even down the eastern slopes of the Pennines as we head into Thursday and early Friday. Sleet and snow even at lower levels for a time, giving temporary coverings of 1 to 3 centimetres, but accompanied by some strong to gale force winds right over the tops of the Pennines, blizzard-like conditions and drifting over higher ground. So this evening and overnight tonight, still the risk of some snow showers feeding in from the south, giving temporary coverings, but tending to just be slushy deposits and the real risk of icy stretches as we head into the second half of the night, into the drier, clearer conditions before everything starts to kick off from the southwest as we head towards tomorrow. Now, it was around -5 last night under those clearer skies with the full moon, but a very different story as we head into tomorrow morning. We look to the southwest for that rain, pushing its way north and eastwards throughout the day, giving some temporary covering at lower levels, but the further west we go, towards the Pennines and right over the tops, we're looking at pretty much persistent rain, heavy at times, and especially towards rush hour tomorrow evening. That turns amber for our Pennine hills especially, and down towards parts of Leeds, Sheffield, Harrogate, Huddersfield. Yes, we could be seeing some significant disruptive snow accompanied by those very strong and gusty winds. So you can see if I zoom out into Thursday evening and the first part of Thursday night, the snow continues over the mountaintops. Elsewhere, a mixture of rain, sleet and wet snow, sinking its way southwards early on Friday, so clearing, but that in turn brings a risk of frost and ice into Saturday with some sunshine, and there may be some snow on the leading edge of rain later Saturday, but much milder by Sunday.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
So there you go, keep in touch with the forecast and take care.
Yes, be prepared. I think that's the key, isn't it?
Wrap up warm.
Yeah, and of course you can stay across all of the latest on the weather picture on the website, itv.com/calendar.
That's it for us though. Lucrezia's back, is here, and next, and I'm back at 10:30. Bye-bye.
Bye.